Hello everyone, hope you all are ready. This is going to be a very important lesson for you. It's about describing a bar chart. Describing a bar chart. The lesson has two parts, part 1 and part 2. In the first session, I'll be dealing with two things. One is the vocabulary needed to describe a chart or a graph. One is the vocabulary needed to describe a chart. And then I'll introduce you some commonly used sentence structures that are essential when writing a description on chart. Okay, I'll be dealing with two things. One is the vocabulary, second is the sentence structures that are commonly used. Okay, let's go ahead. Maybe you have seen these types of graphs. So these type of graphs are called bar chart. Bar chart. Okay. Now here you find columns, right? In this particular graph, you have two columns here. They represent computer and smartphone. Here, two types of items. They are computer and smartphone. So these columns represent computer and smartphones. And also you find the vertical axis. It represents the sales in $1 million, sales in $1 million, from 10 million to 60 million. And then the horizontal axis, there you have the years from 2011 to 2015. I hope that you have some kind of idea about this kind of graph. So now what we try to do is, we are going to write a description. Maybe it sounds a bit tough, but don't worry, I'll make it easier for you. First of all, let's try to understand some commonly used verbs when describing a bar chart. So on the screen you find some verbs. Okay, can you read these verbs? Increase, rise, grow, rose, increased, grew, was spent, goes up, is spent, and finally we have went up. So what you need to do is you have to put these verbs into the categories given. One is present, the other one is past. Let's try from the very beginning. Now here you have the first verb, increase. It should come under present. It should come under present, right? Increase. Then what about the second, rise? That also comes under present. Next we have grow. That too goes under present. Good. The next verb is rose. It should be past. Correct. And increased, I think you can guess it. It is past. Grew, again it comes under past. Right. Was spent. Was spent. Can you guess? Good. It is past again. And goes up. It should come under present. Is spent. Is spent. That too comes under present. And the last one, went. Sorry, it is went up. Went up. That comes under past. Good. Now can you read these words? Increase, rise, grow, goes up is spent. Rose, increased, grew, was spent, went up. So when you are describing a chart using the past tense, then you necessarily need to use these kinds of past tense verbs. And if the description is in present, then you could use these words. Right. Okay. Now, not only those verbs, there are some special phrases that are commonly used. Okay. Well, before we go into detail of these phrases, look at these charts given. Okay. So when you look at this chart, here these two columns, and again the third one, there's a sudden increase. There's a sudden increase. And when you come to this second, yeah, there's a kind of increase, but yeah, not like this. There's no sudden, a quick increase, but there's an increase, a gradual increase. And here these columns, they show that no change at all. There's no rise or fall. So now you can see these charts are different from each other. Okay, now let's try to find out the correct phrases that we could use to describe these different types of graphs. Okay, now the first one, right? You see a kind of sudden increase. To describe this kind of chart, we have to use the phrase increased dramatically. Increased dramatically. And here the second, we could use the phrase, yes, rose steadily. Rose steadily. Okay, in same amount. The increase has happened in the same amount. Okay, rose steadily. And then the third one, yeah, there's no change at all, so we have to use remained level. Remained level. Sorry. And then a kind of sudden fall. A sudden fall. Then you have to use dramatically. Yeah, fell dramatically. Now you see the difference here. A sudden increase, then you use increased dramatically. A sudden decrease, then you have to use fell dramatically. Okay, increased dramatically, fell dramatically. And then we have here the last one. There is a decrease. There's a decrease. Yeah, it's a kind of gradual decrease. So then we use fell steadily. Fell steadily. Right? Well, now just be familiar with these phrases. Okay, increased dramatically, rose steadily, remained level, fell dramatically, fell steadily. Well, and you have another two special words. Okay, so to name these axes, right? This is the vertical axis. This is the vertical axis, and here you have the horizontal axis. Horizontal axis. Okay, remember these two special words. What are they? Vertical axis and horizontal axis. Right. The bar chart, which you could see now. Yeah. The bar chart shows the amount of money spent on two types of electronic items in Sri Lanka. Okay. So this gives a kind of information about the money spent on two types of electronic items. What are the two types? Computers and smartphones. So money spent on these two types of electronic items. So what is the country? In Sri Lanka. Okay, now you can see the columns. Okay, the taller ones, okay, they represent computer, and these ones, these columns, they represent your smartphones. And there in the vertical axis you find sales in millions, sales in $1 million, 10 million, 20 million, yeah, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, and 60 million. Okay, then the horizontal axis, yeah, that represents the years: 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015. Okay, now you have some idea about this graph, but our job is to write a description. Okay, right, don't worry, now we can try. Okay, so just to practice, okay, some important sentences that we could use when describing a chart. Okay, now you are very familiar with the chart now. Look at the first sentence given here. Okay, the chart shows sales of, okay, within bracket you have three words: 1, 2, 3. Okay, types of electronic items. So by looking at the chart, now you can find the right answer. The chart shows sales of, yeah, how many items are there? Okay, yeah, 2 items, computers and smartphones. So then the answer should be 2. So the sentence, the chart shows sales of 2 types of electronic items. See, now you should be able to write that kind of sentence. Okay, let's try the second one, another sentence to describe the chart. The graph shows spending over a, yes, 3-year period, 4-year period, 5-year period. Again, you can see, yeah, 2011 to 2015. How many years are there? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5-year period. So the graph, you see, you could say a chart or a graph. Okay, both is the same idea. So the graph shows spending over 5-year period. Right. The third one, the data shows sales from, yeah, 2011 to 2015, 2012 to 2015, 2014 to 2015. Can you guess? Yeah, from 2011 to 2015, 2011 to 2015. So the answer should be this. Okay, can you read these 3 sentences again so that you can be familiar with these sentences? The first one, the chart shows sales of 2 types of electronic items. The graph shows spending over a 5-year period. The data shows sales from 2011 to 2015. Okay. We have another few sentences. Same chart. Okay. Number 4. Sales of both items, yeah, increased, remained level, fell. So look at the first one, computer. So what happened to the sales? Yeah, you could see there's an increase. And what about the smartphones? Yeah, remained level, but still there is an increase. So from here to here, you find an increase. So sales of both items, yeah, it should be increased. Sales of both items increased. Sales of, right, you have 2, 3 words here: computers, smartphones, both remained level and then increased dramatically. Yeah, so answer should be, yeah, look here, smartphones 2011 it is 10 million, 2012 10 million, 2013 10 million. So remained level. And what happened? increased dramatically, a quick rise. Yeah, a quick rise. So increased dramatically. So sales of smartphones remained level and then increased dramatically. Okay. Number 6, sales of computers, smartphones, both increased steadily. Yeah. Out of this, if you look at this one, see a kind of increase, always 5 million by 5 million. So 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Okay. So there is an increase. Okay. Each year by 5 million. So we could say, yeah, sales of computers increased steadily at the same rate. Steadily means at the same rate. Okay. Well, will you please read these sentences again? Good. Come on. Sales of both items increased. Sales of both items increased. Sales of smartphones remained level and then increased dramatically. Number 6, sales of computers increased steadily. Clear? Okay, I hope now you are getting familiar with certain words and sentences. Well, let's try another activity. Here, this activity, you have again some sentences, but yeah, there's a blank. So what you should do is you have to suggest the correct word that could be used to complete this blank and make a meaningful sentence. Let's try that. I don't think it's going to be difficult for you. Okay, number 1. This chart gives information. Yeah, this chart gives information. Spending on smartphones and computers. Yeah, can anybody guess? Yeah, correct. About. Yes, this chart gives information about this chart gives information about spending on smartphones and computers. So if somebody asks, hey, what this chart is about, then you have to say this chart gives information about spending on smartphones and computers. Right. The second one, the chart shows information about Sri Lanka. Yeah, 2011 and 2015. There's a period. Yeah. Then you have to use, yeah, between 2011 and 2015. Okay. So can you read this sentence? The chart shows information about Sri Lanka between 2011 and 2015. Right. Then the third one. According blank the chart, spending increased on both items. Spending increased on both items. Now it's obvious that we could see here computers, the spending increased. Again smartphones, you could see there's an increase. Well, so according, yeah, the word should come now. Come on. According to the chart, correct. According to the chart, spending increased on both items. Okay. Number 4, spending on computers increased. Spending on computers increased. We are talking about these. Yes, 5 million each year. You see, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. 5 million each year. So spending on computers increased by 5 million each year. Okay, by $5 million, $5 million each year. Okay, to be familiar, with the sentences. Can you read this? Yeah. This chart gives information about spending on smartphones and computers. Number 2, come on. The chart shows information about Sri Lanka between 2011 and 2015. Number 3, according to the chart, spending increased on both items. Number 4, spending on computers increased by $5 million each year. Okay, so when you read these sentences, definitely you are going to be familiar with them. Okay, right. Few more sentences here. From 2011 to 2013. Okay, the period 2011 to 2013. From 2011 to 2013, smartphone sales remained level. See, 2011, 10 million, 2012, 10 million, 2013, 10 million. So sales remained level. Okay, yes, you had to use at $10 million. Okay, at $10 million. Number 6, expenditure on smartphones is still less. Yeah, still means here we are referring to this 2015. Expenditure on smartphones is still less, yeah, than on computers. Less than. See here, computers $50 million. Smartphones $45 million. So still less than on computers. Okay, well, can you read that again? Expenditure on smartphones is still less than on computers. Number 7, total spending on these items rose from $40 million, yeah, 95 million in the period. Now, what is the period here? 2011 to 2015. So, in 2011, the total spending, see, for computers it is 30 million and smartphones 10 million. So, together it is 40 million. See, total spending on these items rose from 40 million, here 40 million. Now 2015, yeah, computers 50 million and smartphones 45 million. So the total becomes 95 million. Okay, well, so total spending on these items rose from $40 million to 95 million in the period described. Okay, right. Number 8, spending on smartphones could overtake spending on computers. Now this is going to be a kind of prediction. Okay, now 2015, so we are going to predict, right? We are going to guess what would happen in 2016. So now you can see that a kind of, yeah, a dramatical increase is there. Therefore, spending on smartphones could overtake, could pass, okay, could overtake spending on computers, yeah, in 2016. Well, okay, so you can repeat these sentences. Okay, now I'm going to read them. You should repeat. From 2011 to 2013, smartphone sales remained level at $10 million. I hope you are doing okay. Expenditure on smartphones is still less than on computers. Good. Total spending on these items rose from $40 million to $95 million in the period described. Right? Spending on smartphones could overtake spending on computers in 2016. Right. Let's try this activity as well. So I think by now you are very familiar with these phrases: increased dramatically. So when you look at the chart, you'll be able to figure out, yeah, the places where you can see a kind of sudden increase steadily, remain level. So these phrases, okay, I hope you are familiar. Let's try to make some sentences using these phrases. Actually, they are going to be very simple because you have to replace the meaning is given here. Okay, let's try the first one. Computer sales went up at a steady rate during the 5 years. This is steady rate. Okay, computer sales blank. So can you just select one phrase from these three? Yeah, you should get this meaning: went up at a steady rate. Good. Then you have to use increased steadily. So the sentence becomes: computer sales increased steadily during the 5 years. Good. Second, smartphone sales stayed the same until 2013. See, 2011, 12, 13 remained, sorry, yeah, stayed the same. So then you have to use the word or the phrase remained level. Smartphone sales remained level until 2013. Okay, now you see you are getting a kind of proper understanding about the structures of these sentences. Okay, well, in 2014 and 2015, okay, smartphone sales, yeah, 2014, 2015 went up a lot in a short time. So went up a lot in a short time. See, within 1 year, see here it is, yeah, in 2014, 30 million. 2015, it became 45 million. So went up a lot in a short time. So we use, yeah, increased dramatically. Good. Read these sentences. Computer sales increased steadily during the 5 years. Hope you are repeating. Second, smartphone sales remained level until 2013. Good. In 2014 and 2015, smartphone sales increased dramatically. Right. Have few more sentences. Okay. The words grew, overtake in this period. Well, number 4. People's total spending on these electronic devices rose dramatically during these years. During these years, can you find a suitable word or phrase from these three? Yeah, during these years means in this period. Okay. Number 5, overall, the sales of both these items went up. Went up? Yes, correct. Grew. Overall, the sales of both these items grew. Number 6, if these trends continue, if these trends, the pattern, okay, if these trends continue, we can expect smartphone sales to become greater than computer sales in 2016. So you have to find a word for this. Become greater than, it is overtake. Right. See, can you read these now? People's total spending on these electronic devices rose dramatically in this period. Right. Overall, like generally, overall, the sales of both these items grew. Okay. Number 6. If these trends continue, we can expect smartphone sales to overtake computer sales in 2016. Very. Now it's high time you did an exercise, because you know that practice is very, very important. Now you learned some vocabulary that could be used when describing a chart. Also, you became familiar with some sentence structures, okay, some kind of sentences that could be used when describing a chart. So look at this chart. Actually, it is the same chart that you learned about. So now what I want you to do is, you have to take a paper, okay, you have to take a paper. If you want, you can pause this video for a while. Take a paper and draw this chart in the paper. Draw this chart in the paper. After that, below the chart, you have to write 10 sentences describing the graph. 10 sentences describing the graph. So that is the exercise that I want you to do, because you must write sentences. So writing 10 sentences, it's very important, because that understanding is very helpful for you to continue with this lesson. Okay, when you start part 2, the understanding that you get writing sentences will help you a lot. Okay, so keep your sentences ready to continue with. So we have come to the end of part 1 of this lesson. So before I wind up, I want you to remember this point. What's it? The more you practice, better your English becomes. The more you practice, better your English becomes. Okay, good luck with your English.